After finishing the batch processing and also the first single HDR photo that we removed the ghosting, now what we can do is to bring these images into Lightroom and then further process them. I'm not going to explain here the Lightroom in detail, which is really broad and has lots of tools to manipulate the images. I will just try to keep it simple and try to explain a little bit the tools that I'm using. To bring the results of Photomatics here, go to File, Import Photos, and what we can see here is the results folder. This is the results of batch processes, and here is the result of single photo where we remove the ghosting artifact. Let's bring these two here, select both folders, and on the right you can type in some keywords and put your metadata and so forth. Just click import. This will bring the folders under the one that containing the raw folders. We will focus on here the results. Here in the view we can choose grid or single. We will now switch to single view and go quickly over the results. This looks not bad. This is the result from batch processing. You can see that the ghost artifact that we choose in the batch processing didn't perform as good as the semi-automated one that we did at the beginning. This looks good. This looks good. And here a little bit ghosting at the flag. And good and good. Yeah. Let's look at the one that we removed the ghosting artifacts. Yeah, this is pretty clean. So what we will do is now work on this photo and improve some points. For instance, we will further adjust the contrast and light, and we will fix this horizontal shift. We will clean the dirt, and we will remove this boat here. And also you can see we have some dirt from camera. We will also remove them and so forth. Let's get started. Here you have the main menus for Lightroom. The next that we use most of the time is Develop menu. Just go ahead and click. This will open the development settings and we will follow them from top to bottom. Here you have your view. Any change that you apply here will be visible here. Lightroom adjustments are not destructive. That means you can go back after each modification. Each adjustment that we apply here will be populated here in the list, and then by clicking in a previous one we can go back. Let's get started with adjustments. First thing to adjust is white balance. Usually what I do is to go and try auto and see if this will give me better result. Here I don't like it because I like the warm colors in the original one. Or you can also use the eyedropper tool and try to define your whites. This is not bad, but still I like the original one better. So as I was trying to explain you here in the history, we can just by clicking the previous one we can go back. So I'm now back to the first one. The exposure looks to me good. You can see the graph also looks pretty good. You can recover a little bit the highlights if you want, and you can also bring some more light to the dark areas by using fill light. Blacks is always good to increase the contrast, not to do much, but around 5-6 would be good for most of the photos. Here you can adjust global brightness and contrast, which actually I don't use very often because I use here exposure to adjust the light and also recovery and fill light. The contrast is actually better to bring in tone curve, which brings more dramatic results. We will just go ahead and do it in a minute. Skip this part, move to the clarity, which will increase the local contrast and will bring up the shapes. It looks like a little bit sharpening and gives you dramatic results. To see the effect, you need to zoom 1:1 into the image. Here we can go to clouds and try it. You can see how it's improving the details, bringing the structures. So let's keep it somewhere 70. And next you can bring more color into your image with vibrance. This is of course too much. Maybe a little bit here, not so much we need, it's already pretty good. And you can also increase the saturation, which also we don't need much here. Maybe also very little, a slight touch. And let's move to the tone curve to bring contrast. Here you have the options, medium contrast, strong contrast, we can try. Most of the time medium contrast is very good. You can see strong contrast made it very dark. Put it medium contrast. You can also go back any time and change the adjustments again. For instance, here I see a little bit too much light. I can maybe go and try to recover them. That is better. So here in this panel you can change the colors, color hue, saturation, luminance, and you can bring some different tones into your image. This part is completely experimental and most of the time it's not really necessary. I just skip all of this. And the next is sharpening. Here, if I want to complete this process in Lightroom, I can go ahead and then do sharpening. For instance, here is 1:1 view. We can also choose area by clicking this, and then for instance somewhere, let's look at the again somewhere on the boat, and you can sharpen. You can see how nicely the structures are improving, and any change you apply, you can go back and forward to see the effect here, or you can close the effect in the window here. Since I'm going to further work on this image in Photoshop, I'm not going to apply sharpening here because Photoshop has much better tools, at least a lot of options for sharpening. Therefore, just we go back here and then undo the sharpening, and this part, noise reduction and color and so forth, will come actually after we come back from Photoshop. Now we will open this image in Photoshop and further work on contrast and brightness, and also we will remove the dirt on the image.